Welcome to Vocal Tips in 10 with me, voice professional and your host, Mogg, Cathey. The show where every week you'll get actionable tips in vocal technique, artistry, health, and more, all in 10 minutes or less. Your best voice is just a tip away, so let's go. Hello, lovely singers, and welcome to Vocal Tips in 10. I'm Mogg, Cathey, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more personal. I just recently rebranded my studio that was Nashville Vocal Studio for nearly 15 years, then evolved into Evolve Vocal Studio for about the past year and a half, and now I have finally settled on my forever studio name, which is just my own, simpler than ever, Mogg, Cathey voice. And I wanted to share the why behind that, not because I think everybody here needs to be or is so interested in my personal journey, though you're going to hear a little bit of it, but because I think it's relatable to all of us who create. Nothing in my studio has changed. I'm still offering one-on-one coaching and vocal rehab support. I still have the fantastic Eva Cassell with me, teaching voice and songwriting. We still have our fantastic Inclusive Vocal Pro membership, our Vocal Pro Lite membership. I still have my Erase Your Break course, all about getting rid of those vocal breaks and cracks in your voice to create your best, most confident, connected sound. Everything's exactly the same. The only thing that's changing is the name. But it's impactful for me because when I transitioned to teaching singers full-time, 16, 17-ish years ago, I'd always been teaching in some form or fashion, even when I was a full-time performer and full-time vocalist myself. When I was doing other jobs that weren't necessarily music related at the time, I was always still teaching voice and always had, fingers and toes in it. But when I finally decided I wanted to make the transition to doing it full time and no longer as a performer, but my real heart and passion was in teaching and coaching and helping other singers just get their absolute best voice and feel confident about it and have the tools that they need. When I made that decision, I'd been teaching under my own name for years, and I still thought, well, I can't have a full-time studio just with my name. It doesn't sound official enough. It doesn't sound good enough. And I just thought if I want it to be successful, it needs to sound bigger than me, better than me. And so I was in Nashville working full-time with Nashville vocalists. And so I called it Nashville Vocal Studio. And man, I loved that place. And we grew like crazy. And I was Nashville Vocal Studio for almost 15 years. And it was wonderful. And then my husband got an opportunity that he couldn't pass up to move to Denver, Colorado. And we picked up and moved from Nashville, where I had been for 24 years, and moved to Denver in a month. So it was a really big undertaking. When I moved to Denver, I thought, okay, well, I can't be Nashville Vocal Studio anymore. And I really thought then, I'm just going to go by my name. My name is good enough. A lot of people at this point know my name and know what I do. So I'm just going to do that. And I reached out to some people to say, hey, this is what I think I'm going to do. Some people who are more in the marketing and business end of things. And they said, no, you need to keep it as close to Nashville Vocal Studio as possible. And so I ended up going with Evolve Vocal Studio because I love what Evolve stands for. It's that constant striving to be your absolute best, to always grow, to always learn more. And, as a singer, as an artist, and I also think just as people. So I really believe in that. And so I thought, okay, this really aligns with everything that I believe in. So this is what we're going to do, Evolve Vocal Studio. And I trucked along like that for the past year and change. All the while I've been going on this personal journey and more inner journey and inner exploration. And for some of you, if that sounds woo-woo, I really apologize. But it's been super impactful and super meaningful for me. I was taking this course called Counseling for Singers. It was a 12-week, pretty intensive course. Not to become a counselor, but just to have more knowledge and more tools to help support my singers as holistically as possible. Because our body is our voice, and you cannot deny the mind-body connection. That's not woo-woo, friends. That is biology and science. As you probably all have experienced, if you are really stressed, if you are emotionally, mentally having a tough time, your singing is going to take a hit. It's just part of it, right? Because that makes our body tighter. Then makes our voice tighter. It makes everything more difficult. It's not as fun. It's all of those things. So I was taking this course and I was learning more and more about it. I'd never done therapy before. I'd never done anything like that before. I'm Midwestern people and I'm from small town Midwest. We don't do that there. If you are feeling, if you're not feeling totally confident or you feel like there's voices you should be listening to, turn them off like a light bulb, work harder. That's what you do as a Midwesterner. And I just realized, like, wow, as I'm learning this to support singers, I want to give this care to others. I've never given this care to myself. So I started going to therapy. I started doing a soulful coaching group with Annalisa Lemming, which I highly recommend you listen to her episode. It so ties into all of this. So I've been doing all of this work and just, trying to get down to some things like, why do I feel like the need to do X, Y, and Z? Why do I feel less than I want to feel, less than I should feel? And y'all, that is a slog. It's important work. I recommend it to everybody, but it is also painful. It is not something that's just like, and now I feel great about me. All of us have wounds and stuff that we're dealing with. And I just think finally into my 40s, I was like, it's kind of high time I look at these. I don't want to keep carrying these around. And I don't like how they're impacting me, keeping me from doing certain things. And that's where I think this can tie into all of us, because singing is such a vulnerable thing. And I work with singers all day, every day, that all they want to do, all that their heart and soul is telling them is, you got to make music, whether you're doing it professionally or you're doing it just because it makes your life better. It's part of who you are. You feel this great calling to do it, and then you feel scared to death to be that vulnerable again, because you're so afraid of how it's going to be judged and that it's going to be judged by other people. As I'm recording this, the first Wicked movie has just come out a couple weeks ago. It makes me think kind of the Wizard, though I'm not evil. I'm a nice person, but just in that, like, pay no attention to the little man behind this giant, glorious machine. And it's like the tiniest bit of that, feeling like, I need to have like something snazzy or something more impressive than just me, just what I have to offer. And I do not feel that way anymore. Do not get me wrong. I do not feel that way today. And I'm on a great upward trajectory. And then I have some days where I'm so stressed and so anxious and question everything, and I'm looking totally outside for validation instead of just looking inside, which is what I want to be doing. So it's a constant journey for me, but this is a big, important part of it for me. So that's why I wanted to take the time and share it with all of you. I hope that it's helpful. I finally made the choice that, like, even though I just rebranded to Evolve Vocal Studio a little over a year ago, and my rational brain is like, no, we don't change again. I was Nashville Vocal Studio for 15 years. I'm not a quick changer, but every cell in my body was like, no, we're ready. What I do, what we do at the studio is incredibly personal. Singing is incredibly vulnerable and personal, and it's holistic. It's voice and mind and body. And having this other name than me feels like a bit of a disconnect. It's always been me, which I think is just exactly right and just enough. And I want to share that because I feel the same thing for you, for anyone listening. Where you are right now is just exactly right and just enough. And it's ridiculous. It puts a little bit of a lump in my throat because I know of so many wonderful people that I work with that will go like, yeah, totally, Amber, but deep down, we don't fully buy it. And I think it's worth doing the work, whether that's just journaling and awareness, or getting a coach, or getting a therapist, or just singing your guts out, putting yourself out there more and more. I think it's worth doing the work, just taking the time to look at it, because your voice is needed, right? We're all needed just as we are. It doesn't mean that we're not always trying to improve and get better and grow our craft and grow as people to continually be evolving. But where you are right now is perfect. So I hope some of this was helpful for you. You can take little kernels of and pieces of this to use in your own life and to just kind of think about as you're on your own journey that all of us are on, friends. I don't care if somebody comes across as the most confident person ever, and they very well may be confident. And I hope they are. I hope they feel amazing about themselves. But we all have those places where we second guess, where we feel less than, where we worry about how we're being perceived. Just every single one of us does. And they're not going to go away. I just always want to be working on not letting them run the show. If you want to learn more about Amber, Mogg, Cathey voice, we're doing the same things we've always done, but I'll put the links below in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here. The next episode will not be so personal. We'll jump right into some voice nitty gritty. Thank you for being here, and see you in that next episode.